Hello and welcome to another edition of Ask the AD. Brian Smolder with the Director of Athletics, Gene Taylor. Glad you could join us. Got a lot of questions to get to. We'll get to those in a moment. First, we start out with kind of an update from the Big 12. Thankfully, not a whole lot going on, it seems like, at this point. We have a question about scheduling that we'll get to, but beyond that, is there anything notable that you'd want to share?
No, obviously, basketball media days the last couple of days. Commissioner Yormark addressed a few things. He talked a little bit about Gonzaga and where he was with that, and talked about the conference tournament extending in Kansas City. And so I think he talked about a lot of the things some of the fans are interested in. So, we've talked a lot about some things at our recent Big 12 meetings, which happen to be scheduling be one of them. So we can get to that in a minute. But generally speaking, there's not a lot right now. It's pretty quiet, and we're just really kind of moving forward with what it's going to look like with 16 teams.
Yep, and we'll talk hoops here in just a moment. Before we bookmark that and go into hoops, I want to ask you about football. I've had some fans reach out and talk. They see you on the sidelines all the time, home games, road games. Do you ever talk X's and O's with Coach Clement? I don't know about during the game, but Are you just there, moral support?
I don't think an athletic director should ever, particularly who's never coached it down, talk to a coach about X's and O's, particularly during the game. But I'm really cautious about talking to coaches during the game. I usually kind of wait. I'm on the sidelines most of the game. Every once in a while, during a dead ball of some sort or timeout, when I see Chris take his headset off and walk towards me, I figure, okay, there's a conversation. A lot of times it's maybe about an officiating call. Sometimes it's just generally how we're playing or not playing, but it's never about, hey, how come you're not doing this or doing that? Because he would look at me with like I have two heads or something, because he knows I don't know football very well. So.
All right, let's talk basketball. Season tickets for men's and women's basketball are going great. It's been fun. It's exciting. Look forward to these two teams. How excited are you?
I'm very excited. I think, just watching both the men and women's ticket sales, each week we get a report, the numbers of people. I think there's a high level of excitement for both watching our women with Yoki coming back and with some of the new additions. I think our fan base is really looking forward to that. Obviously, the men's, we've sold more tickets than we've sold that I know of since I've been here. So there's a lot of energy behind both programs, and I think it'll be a fun year. I noticed that at the Women's Media Day, a lot of the opposing coaches were talking about our women's basketball team and how it's going to be fun to play against them. So it's going to be a fun year. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it gets going here in almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, how about that?
Crazy to think about. All right, so let's talk about scheduling. Our first question of the day comes from Scott Wildcat, who's always great with questions. He says, can you give us an update on future conference scheduling? How will the 18 and 20 games be determined, the actual games for women and men's basketball? Will there be protected games? And I guess the same for football as well.
Yeah, I'm not really been a lot involved with the basketball side of things, other than we know we're going to play 20 on the men's side and 18 on the women's side. That's because of the women's tournament starts a little bit earlier. How we're going to rotate, obviously we're going to still play KU twice a year. Those kind of protected games you're going to see, but we're not ever going to be able to play everybody. I think you play everybody once and so many teams twice is how it's going to work, and then it'll rotate kind of year to year. From a football perspective, we're still going to play 9 conference games. We talked briefly about going to 8, but we're going to stick with 9 at least initially and see how that goes. The primary objective of our football scheduling is how do we set it up so we can, as we expand to 12 teams, have the best opportunity to get most of our teams able to maybe participate in the 12-team playoff. What's the best? And there are protected rivalries. They're basically in-state rivalries. So I think there's 5 of them across the conference. The more protected rivalries you have, the less chance you have to play everybody. So we're still working on that matrix. It's probably going to be out here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Commissioner Yormark was hoping, he said yesterday, for December. We'll see if that's the case as they work through all those details. All right, let's get football here locally. We get a question here from @SwensonCR, who asks, how is the conversion of the old indoor football practice facility to track and field going?
It's going great. It's all the inside work has been done. We've repainted. The HVAC's been done. The new lighting's been done. The actual track surface is arriving, so they should be installing that here next month. The installation should be completed around the first part of December, and we should be able to practice on it, late December and have competition in January. So really looking forward to it. It looks like a completely different building as you walk into it. It's bright, it's colorful, not colorful, it's just really big and bright, and I'm anxious to get the track going in there.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have all the teams here in the same footprint, no doubt about that.
Very nice for the track program.
All right, so staying with the facility theme, we had a couple of questions about some facility stuff. This one's from @BenWoodworth4, who asked, has K-State looked into lighting the stadium purple after touchdowns during night games like some other stadiums have done?
Well, actually, it wasn't one of the conversations I had with Coach Kleiman at the game, but I had with a couple of coaches as the game was winding down. Our lights are able to do that right now. However, our lighting system is getting to the end of its life cycle. And as we look to replace those with some sort of LED type of light structure, that's a capability we'll look at. It's not in right now, but we're looking probably a couple of years from now before we replace the lights, and that'll be a system that we'll certainly look at.
All right, so staying with that theme, in the football stadium, another question. This is a good one. It actually kind of caused us to think a little bit. This was from @AC6, who asked, why is there an Allstate protective net for PATs at the north goal of Bill Snyder Family Stadium, but not at the south goal?
I was going to say that it was only because we got a half a sponsorship, but that's not true. That's not true. So apparently there's the way the camera angle is. Allstate wanted a direct shot, and there's one direct camera looking to the south or the north end zone, and there's not a direct camera looking to the south end zone. So that's the only reason we have one net up, is because they wanted a direct shot at their sponsorship.
A simple answer, but yet seemed where it was kind of like, wait, why don't we have a net at the other end? So kind of did some research there. This is from @KSU Wildcat. When are we putting solar panels on the roofs of athletic department buildings? Truthfully, I think we've had this question before, but I don't remember the answer.
That's a great question. I don't know that we've talked about it as a facility project at any point. Obviously, there's probably energy savings, and obviously there's a cost with that, but something, I guess probably the best building would be Bramlage, right? I mean, it's the flattest, and I don't know how much room's up there, but that's something maybe I'll ask our facility staff if that's even a possibility.
We'll have to put them maybe in the shape of a Paracat, since we've been trying to get a Paracat on top of Bramlage.
That's right.
Now, we did have a question, and it was kind of off, but it was about football renovations as a whole. Now, you've made the blanket statement before that we're kind of on hold as far as stadium renovations, trying to expand the stadium, that sort of thing right now.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before. Now with the completion of the Volleyball Olympic Training Center, the Morgan Family Volleyball Facility, and the Morris Family Olympic Training Center, and then the indoor football, the Shamrock Indoor Football, the Shamrock End Zone, those are big projects. And we really need to kind of take a break right now and let our donors take a rest and see what other needs. We've talked a little bit about something for golf and something for our tennis program, but those are a little bit down the road. But in terms of these massive projects, we're probably going to wait for a while before we kind of just give everybody a little bit of a break and begin to look at it and say, what does the future hold for us in terms of next renovations?
The campus might have some things near the football stadium in the North Corridor, but that's not necessarily athletic department related. All right, so let's, we mentioned Morgan Family Arena. One of our last questions here comes from Theo, who emailed and said, will there be reserved seats next volleyball season in the arena? And if not, why not? If so, why?
That's a fair question. And I think we talked a little bit about the why at the beginning of the season. I think what we've talked about is let's get through this season. Let's evaluate what's the best route to go. Clearly, there's a lot of positives with the reserve seating, that people don't have to come and stand in line. They know they always have a seat. There are some negatives, that there are some empty seats if people don't show up, and probably some of the best seats. But right now the crowds have been great. There's been a lot of energy. I think we've managed the crowd inflow and exit very, very well. So we'll all sit down with our staff at the end of the season and see if that's the direction we want to go, and talk about if we want to or not, and how that process would unfold.
That's right. And in the meantime, your questions or comments, if you're one of those volleyball fans, go ahead and send them in. They are all valued, no doubt, and considered when we get to the end of the season. All right, last question comes from @BillKCTV5. Try to end on a more uplifting, kind of an odd question. This one from Bill, who actually helps out here in the press box. He's the PA announcer for the band when they do their stuff. Bill Horlbrink from Kansas City. He asks, what's the press box ice cream go-to for you when you're up here?
It's interesting. I saw the question. I actually thought about it, because I don't really grab the ice cream during the course of the game. It's interesting. I ate enough junk food, and obviously it's Call Hall ice cream, and it's great product. Probably the Purple Passion or whatever they call it. But I just don't eat ice cream. I eat lots of pizzas and cookies and everything else that's bad for me. I decided to probably stay away from the ice cream.
Keep those questions coming. As always, again, we love to hear them. We'll be back in the first part of December for the next installment of this show. Gene, appreciate the time. It's always great. Fans love it, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
For Gene Taylor, I'm Brian Smoller. Thank you for watching Ask the AD.